We're doing the Shiur this week from the holy city of Tzfat. Maybe I'll give you a little chance to look around a little bit. It's a bit of a hot day. In the background here, not sure if you could see it off in the distance. You can see the whole Kinneret from here. City of Tzfat behind me. A really, really unbelievable experience to be here. The Shiur this week, Parshas Ekev, Tafshin Ayin Beis. I want to begin the Shiur by saying a little bit of a story that I heard this week, which has to do with this week's Parsha and also with the city of Tzfat. About 150 years ago, the Biyana Rebbe decided that he was going to move and be Ola to Eretz Yisrael from Europe. In those days, it wasn't like it is today, where you could just get yourself on a plane, and in a couple of hours you can be anywhere you want to be. You can go any place. In those days, it was an arduous journey over water, land, taking a boat. Took weeks to make the move to go from any part of Europe to Eretz Yisrael. But the Biyana Rebbe was determined, and he decided that he was going to make Aliyah. He was going to go up to Eretz Yisrael. For weeks, he sat on the boat and totally immersed himself in learning Torah the entire time. He learned on the boat. Nobody was able to disturb him. He used every waking moment to sit, to grow in Torah, and be ready to come to Eretz Yisrael. And that's what the Biyana Rebbe did. After a couple of weeks, they reached the port of Akko with the boat came in. And they came to the port of Akko, and they decided that they were going to go from Akko via land. They were going to go to this city right here, which you see behind me. Actually, more probably in the old city then, those days of Tzfat. And they were going to go to the old city of Tzfat. And it was a trip over land to go from Akko to the city of Tzfat. And while the Rebbe was traveling by land, the Hasidim noticed that the entire time the Rebbe was busy with looking at every piece of scenery, every rock he was interested in, every tree, any civilization, anything, every single thing that they passed, the Rebbe was interested, and he was constantly staring at everything in the land of Eretz Yisrael. So the Hasidim asked the Rebbe, said, respectfully, we just would like to know, while we were traveling to Eretz Yisrael on the boat, you didn't take your eyes out of your Sfarim, out of your learning for 1 minute. Why is it that when you came to Eretz Yisrael, now, every little thing, you're constantly looking at, you're interested, you need to know, you need to inquire, you need to stare at every flower, every tree, everything in Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe answered as follows. The Rebbe said, there's a pasuk in this week's Parsha. The pasuk says, Tamid Einei Hashem Elekecha Bo Meireshis Hashana V'Yad Achris Shana. That the eyes, Kaviyachal, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are totally, constantly on Eretz Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Eretz Yisrael and is interested in Eretz Yisrael every minute. And the Rebbe said, there's a mitzvah we know of the Halachta B'drachav. There's a mitzvah to go in the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is busy every day, of every week, of every year, every month, whatever it is, every second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is interested in Eretz Yisrael. Tamid Einei Hashem Elekecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking at Eretz Yisrael. The Halachta B'drachav tells us that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is interested in Eretz Yisrael, of course, we, as human beings, try to emulate and walk in the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are busy. We should also be busy with looking at Eretz Yisrael. The Nesiv Shalom says a pshat also on the pasuk in this week's parsha, which we just mentioned. Tamid Einei Hashem Bo, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly looking at Eretz Yisrael. Nesiv Shalom says a beautiful, beautiful, unbelievable pshat about Eretz Yisrael. He says in Chutz La'aretz, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes decisions for Chutz La'aretz on Rosh Hashanah. And on Rosh Hashanah, whatever is paskin for people and for countries of Chutz La'aretz, that's the way it is. It's paskin the Rosh Hashanah, and throughout the year, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, through his messengers, sends out al pi derech hateva. It's decided on Rosh Hashanah, and al pi derech hateva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends it and carries out the verdict throughout the year. And Siva Shalom says Eretz Yisrael is different. Eretz Yisrael, mereishis hashana ve'ad achris shana. What does it tell us about Eretz Yisrael? The pasuk in this week's parsha tells us that in Eretz Yisrael it's different. In Eretz Yisrael, every single day is like Rosh Hashanah. And then Siva Shalom talks about it, legabe many different things. Legabe davening. Legabe when you really, really need something, and you're in an Nisoy, and you want something, the place to daven for what you need is in Eretz Yisrael. Because in Eretz Yisrael, every single day is like a Rosh Hashanah. Every single day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Eretz Yisrael and asks, what do people in Eretz Yisrael need today? What is needed in Eretz Yisrael? And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu carries it out himself. In Chutz La'aretz, it's done through messengers. It's done through emissaries of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, even Shalai Pi Derech HaTeva, things can be changed and things happen because it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoidei u'va'atzmai. He goes about carrying out whatever has to be done. And the Siva Shalom continues in a different, a little before what we were saying on this week's Parsha. And he said two very interesting points on the Pasuk, a different Pasuk about Eretz Yisrael in this week's Parsha. The Pasuk says, Uvasem v'yirishtem es ha'aretz. You will come and you will inherit the land of Eretz Yisrael. Zokt in the Siva Shalom that Eretz Yisrael is miyuchedes in a very, very special way. Every other land and every other country in the world has a guf. It has a physical part to it. But Eretz Yisrael is special. Eretz Yisrael has a neshama. Aside from the guf, aside from the physical part of it, it has a spiritual part. It has a neshama. And the Siva Shalom brings down the second point. He brings it down from the Sefer HaKuzari. The Sefer HaKuzari says, and it's brought down there, you can look it up, that the hatzlacha of Am Yisrael, the hatzlacha of every Yid, if you want to have the most hatzlacha in Torah and Avodas Hashem, the place to have it is only in Eretz Yisrael. You want to reach your maximum potential, you want to reach your highest level in Torah and Avodas Hashem, the place to do it is right here in Eretz Yisrael. Just like, and he says, just like a kerem, just like a vineyard, you could try to plant it in one place or the other. But you know that if you go up a couple of miles from here, up in the Golan, there are special places where it's a perfect place for a kerem, for a vineyard. And why is that? Because it's just right. It's just the right soil. The same thing applies to a Yid. You can be successful in Torah in other places. You can have Avodas Hashem in other places in the world. But your karka, your place where you're going to grow, the most fertile land for the growth of a Yid, is right here in Eretz Yisrael. And he says that's why the Pasuk says, Kol HaMitzvah. The Pasuk says at the beginning, Kol HaMitzvah, Kol. If you're Mekayim, the entire mitzvah, that means the guf and the neshama of a mitzvah. The guf being how you carry out the mitzvah, and the neshama of the mitzvah being how you carry it out. You carry it out with the chiyas. If a person is Mekayim, Kol HaMitzvah, then we say, then the Pasuk says, you're zoicha to uvasem v'yirishtem es ha'aretz. Then you'll come to Eretz Yisrael, and you'll be zoicha to inherit Eretz Yisrael. The schar for doing kol ha-mitzvah, for doing the mitzvah, side with the guf and side with the neshama, that is only in Eretz Yisrael. It's brought down from Reb Chaim Vital's Chus Yagan Aleinu that the neshama of a mitzvah, what's the neshama of a mitzvah? How will we mekayim, aside from doing the guf of a mitzvah, doing the neshama of a mitzvah? It's brought down from Reb Chaim Vital. It's what you put into the mitzvah. It's the koiches that you put into a mitzvah. It's the enthusiasm which you come to a mitzvah. That's the guf and the neshama. And that mostly applies to Eretz Yisrael, where Eretz Yisrael, the entire land, has a guf and a neshama. Let's take the lessons of this week's parsha, the lessons of Eretz Yisrael. We're waiting so long, almost 2,000 years, that we should be able to be brought back to Eretz Yisrael. And Mirz Hashem, we should be able to grow in our guf and our neshama, be zoicha to do the mitzvahs in Eretz Yisrael, be zoicha to come to Eretz Yisrael, and we should be zoicha that we should all be brought here. B'mher b'yameinu im Mashiach tzidkeinu.